Monday the 25th of June. It's been a long time in the coming, but I finally got back around to starting to make videos again. I love it, don't you? You start saying you're going to make vlogs, promise people updates, and then you totally let them down. But there have been reasons which I'm not going to go into today, but I thought I'd update my experiences of getting back to 2020. And the journey over the winter has been a very slow one, with massive hiccups all the way along. As anybody that follows the procedure that Jake advocates will tell you, one of the most important things is to limit the amount of close-up time you're having. And if you can't do that, is to make sure you take breaks. I just watched an interesting video last night. Stefan Molyneux, one of all things, where he's going on about the burnout of YouTubers. Nothing like that happened to me. You know, it'd take me years before I became a proper YouTuber, if I ever did become one. That's how much effort and time these people have to put into it. But the same works for anything in life. You have to put lots of effort into anything you want to achieve. And if you can put that effort into it, if you can see the goal, then you can normally end up achieving it. But one of the things he said in the video that I found entertaining, he was talking about Ninja, who was complaining about burning out for the amount of time he spends video gaming. And he made a quote, "I hope he follows the 20-20-20 rule. For 20 minutes of time with close up, make sure you take a break every 20 minutes, where you look at least 20 feet away." So with that in mind, it's another lesson, much like Jake's videos, telling us that we need to take breaks, need to get outside time, and that is what I've learned over the winter. It's one of the hottest days of the year, it's nearly midday, so like any good Englishman I've come out in the sunshine to make the best experience, to get totally hot. And although I intended to do this last week, like the last 6 months, things have delayed me doing it. And ever since then, I was looking at the software nowadays, and everything I was using last year has changed. It's not available anymore. It's all been removed. So I have no idea what the quality is going to be like when I upload this. But to get back to the lesson, while I'm getting bitten by horseflies, is that simple rule of taking breaks is essential. Because without those breaks, you're having too much close-up time, and your eyes just go into what is referred to by many optical specialists nowadays as the ciliary muscle spasm. That's where the muscle that focuses your eye up close, because as most of the experts, you know, quote experts will tell you, and other people that aren't experts will tell you, is eyes are designed to view at 20 feet. Yeah, it's just an approximate figure. But that's why all the charts by Snellen were made, and that's why it's called 20/20 vision. At 20 feet, you can see 20 foot clearly. Now, what happens when you do too much close-up is the ciliary muscle in your eye contracts to focus your iris so you can see that close without blur. And when you do that for a long period of times, like any muscle, it doesn't work properly. It doesn't relax afterwards quite as quick as it should do. It basically fixes in that position. When that happens, you get what they call the ciliary muscle spasm, which means you can see clearly close up without any problems. But when you try and look in the distance, when you have a look at those pylons, you can't see them clearly. Excuse me. And what happens then? Well, like over the winter for me, you tend to avoid looking far away and return to what you can do, looking close up. And that just makes it worse, especially when you're wearing your glasses, or for me, because I wear contacts. I do have a pair of plus lenses that I wear for close-up work, so it reduces my prescription down. Getting a bit darker now as we go into the woods. So what happens? The easiest way to avoid it is to make sure you have plenty of what we can term outside time, long distance viewing. Anything 20 foot or more is great. You can get away with less, but the longer the distance, the better. And when you do that, it allows the ciliary muscle to relax. And if you spend enough time doing it and focusing on distant objects, you can bring them back in to perspective again, back into vision without the blur. And that's what the program's all about. That's what Jake advocates. That's what active focus is all about. Is using your vision to improve itself by forcing the muscle effectively to relax, which isn't really forcing, it's more just doing what it's naturally meant to do, by using it for long distance, allowing it to refocus on distant objects. The active focus part of it is where you're actively trying to focus on things and telling your brain it should be clearer than that, you should be able to see it. And that's why things like signs, got one just up at the tree there, this area is under camera surveillance. Yeah, I know, it's in my hand, you can see it right here. Don't need to tell me that. But by focusing on signs like that, see, even now, because I'm staring at this camera, when I look at the sign, the writing's a little bit in blur. But when I keep focusing on it, blink a few times, it becomes clearer. And if I spent enough time just looking at it, it would become clearer and clearer. And that's the point of active focus, is to use things to get your focus back again. Now the real reason that things like signs and number plates and letters and words are used to help us is because our brain can understand how to bring that back into focus more. If you try and use trees, it's never a guarantee of how clear they were. Brings me back to when I was a kid and started to lose my eyesight, and I could see how the leaves had lost their focus, and I knew that something was wrong. I knew my vision was going. Back in those days I didn't understand why. So the simple tips for anybody looking to improve their vision is to make sure you get enough outside time. Good quality sunlight is always better than going out on dreary, drizzly days, which is why the winter for me was so bad, because we have a lot of dreary, drizzly days with shorter hours of sunshine in here in the UK. Oh. And that means it's less likely you want to go outside. So I can understand why Jake spends a lot of time in all those lovely places we see on his videos, where the sunshine is most of the day, where it's nice and bright, because that is a really great stimulus for your eyes, having that nice bright sunshine. When I made most of my progress last year, it was during the summer months, and I made the mistake, must have been about October time, where I decided I was at 20/20. My right eye, which is my weakest eye, wasn't quite there, but I decided to push it down and try and make it regain its focus again. And I took myself down a quarter of a diopter, but this time I've pushed it a bit too far. The winter was coming, I was watching the monitor inside the computer, spent a lot more time on the computer at the time. I was reading my book a lot more at night time, and I wasn't getting out as much, and of course the sunshine wasn't there. So probably about a quarter of the day was being spent in darkness with just lights on, no chance to really push your 20 foot vision, and that meant, excuse me, another horsefly, that meant that my gains were very poor. If anything, at times I would seem to be seeing 20 in my left eye, and other times either the ciliary spasm kicked in or something else kicked in and meant that I was going back up a few lines on the Snellen chart. And it's only in the last month that I started to make any real progress again. And seeing more consistently a 20/20 in my left eye, seeing better than the 20/20 on quite a few sunny days like today. It's just my right eye that's still holding back at the moment, and even though I keep pushing it and doing active focus, it's still trailing behind. But that's no surprise, because originally last year when I started in April, this eye was -6 and this eye was -5, and I've pushed so far down to -4 and -4.25. So I probably took this eye a bit too far. But we all learn from our lessons. I should have gone back up again, but I continued with the blur and tried to push it all the time in order to try and make better gains. And that in some ways I think it slowed me down. I should have been lower in this one, perhaps to 3.75 by now, and kept this one up to about 4.5. But it's a learning experience. We can but keep trying. Good luck on your journeys out there, and hopefully this might be of information to somebody in helping their journey along. See you another time.